All right, it's on you, bro.
All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. And wake y'all punk asses up. You know what day, you know what time, you know who the fuck you're listening to. It's Saturday, 12 noon, Eastern Standard Time. The almighty, the war famous, the GEMIX broadcast live right here on DJ Scratch's ScratchVision.com. We are so appreciative that you all decided to give up your midday to listen to us, and hopefully the rest of the Scratch Vision shows that are soon to follow us. We want to say happy 12th birthday to DJ Scratch and Scratch Vision. You know, 12th birthday was this past week, so definitely shout out to you. Long and sustained success. Yeah, we are joined with a very special guest on this week's edition of the GEMIX. We are joined by Elder Sensei, one half of Artifacts and one half of XL.
Peace, y'all. What's going on?
All right. And oh, by the way, I am Bridget Chiba.
Some more swagger.
DJ Sawyer.
And like I said, we are so happy that you are taking the time out to listen to us, and we are so happy to be blessed with a hip hop royalty. You know, straight out of the bricks.
Dirty Jerv.
You know, one of the pioneers of the early '90s, what was considered backpack rappers. You know, Elder Sensei again, one half of the Artifacts, one half of XL. Brother, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I'm very good. Just got back home from Chicago yesterday. Had a pop-up out there this weekend, so I was happy about that. Met a lot of good people back home, and now I get ready for North Carolina this weekend. So got to quickly prepare for that one. So I'm just glad to be home for a second.
Sounds good.
So the grind don't stop, huh?
It's been raining for the last 2 days in Chicago. I'll come home. As soon as I land, get back home, rain again. As soon as I get here, I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
They're trying to keep me in the airport.
So it's like a never-ending grind, huh?
Yeah, man. It's part of it.
Right. So you were just out here in DC a couple of weeks ago. Part of the reason why you were here was to celebrate the release of Crazy Drazy of Das Effects' own weed strain, Googly Goo. And I saw you had the merchandise. Besides the merchandise and the music, what other enterprises do you have going on?
Well, right now, I'm just trying to get a little bit deeper into the merch. Working with my man in LA, Dev Projects, Definitive Projects. He did the train, it's a model train with the actual Artifacts piece on the side to commemorate the single cover, and just to like get a little deeper than just shirts and hats, you know, just add a little bit more to the package. I'm gonna be doing a few more other things with that as well, with different other product other than just the train. You know, I got markets and stuff right now. A lot of music is coming. You know, that's pretty much the main focus of what makes the machine go. Because I can't do all of this and the shirts and everything and hats and stuff without the music going forward first.
Right, and you mentioned the music, so you have a collaboration album coming out. Is it in September?
Well, yeah, me and Jake Palumbo, we got an album coming out called Solving Cases. We've been doing this record for like the last 6-7 years, just in between all the other things I've been doing, between XL and touring and, you know, doing the other records I've been preparing for, and, you know, and doing a bunch of other things, you know, just being a father and being home. But this record, yeah, September 24th, we actually put out the first single, Blast Off, in July. So that's out there in the world right now. Jake Palumbo produced the whole album. The new single coming up is Bring It In Loud, and that's coming out on August 20th. Video for both of these songs are coming soon. And, you know, this is something that we've been really trying to get done for a minute. And I think y'all gonna like this record. It's really something, not say different, but something more than what I've been doing in the past couple of years. And it's pretty much the first step of a lot of releases that's gonna be coming out.
Right. Now, you said this album has been the worst for 6 or 7 years, right?
Yes.
What have you been doing?
Man, like I've been recording other records. Me and Jake both been. He put out an album in between doing this. He's an engineer, runs his own studio. So between me doing other albums, running back and forth to Atlanta, shooting videos, you know, doing the XL album, and this is all been going on since. In between doing all these other projects, we still was able to record me and his records too. So, but sometimes it's not a rush job for all of these things because I'm the only one that know how old these songs are, but we were able to build on these other songs around what we was doing before we started doing other stuff in between. So sometimes you can't rush some music.
Right.
And I think with this being me and Jake's first record, we wanted to make sure that we had all bases covered. We got a couple of features on there, that I think people are gonna like. John Robinson being one of them. And in between doing these records, we were able to get to know each other and get like a lot of chemistry for when after we were finished doing the music. So we have to shoot videos, we got to come with ideas together. So me and Jake got to know each other a whole lot, where he mixed XL album, he mixed the Artifacts new album. So, he was doing a lot, in between doing me and his project. So everything is done now and we're working on that. We got the whole promotion geared up for this record to come out next month.
Okay. Now, how do you approach your co-pilot, I guess, the process of doing a collaborative album? Because you did the XL with Static X, let's say the Jake Palumbo album. How do you approach the collaboration?
Well, it's different with the producer because I know Jake, he rhymed too, but for this project, he did all the music, and it's different than doing a project with somebody when you're rhyming with them throughout the whole album. Whereas like the chemistry is different from when me and Sadat in the studio compared to me and Tame being in the studio. With me and Tame is a whole another chemistry where it's like how you saw the locks in the verses battle. Like me and Tame bounce off each other with our eyes closed. So, and with me and Sadat, it was like, that being our first record, me being a fan of his, and me being his friend, that helped a lot. But I still was fanning out just for the fact that I knew, we were doing this record together, so like that was a whole new thing where it was like sometimes you can work with somebody you don't work with and kind of be hesitant on giving ideas or something for the song, whereas like you don't know how they might react to it. Whereas like I play beats for X, and I'll be like, yo, you like that? It's easy, like, yo, I like that one. He'll tell me it was something he don't like, and we'll go to the next one. But it was easy to put beats in front of him because I know that he told me I made him write a little bit more on that project. I said, no. I was like, this is me doing a record with somebody I respect, voice-wise and lyrically. So for me, it was just a treat because when we was recording, my man would be sitting at the board, he's looking at me like, yo, you believe this right now? I said, yeah. I said, I don't, but I know it's happening. And I know we can put it out. So, this shit for me was like, I got a belt. I got a hip hop belt with some names on them where it's like every time I do, smash. Right. So these are the things that you think about, even though I know him, I'm a fan of Brand New. I'm a fan of Sadat. So it was a whole different chemistry with that where I was like, yo, let's go with this. Let's go here. Let's go there. And he was like, bet, let's go. He let me lead on certain points where I was the point guard, and there was songs where he was the point guard, and I played the center or the strong guard, and I'm shooting threes, and he just lobbing them up.
I'm assuming that's a good thing. I don't know about sports.
That's a very good thing. That's a very good thing. Now that's interesting that you said that you fanned out because we know how egotistical and machismo hip hop is, right? And for you to sit here, I mean, because you're a hip hop luminary yourself, like you're not some new jack, you do have, a level of acclaim, and for somebody has their own level of acclaim to say about somebody else, that shows like the ultimate, respect. How is it that in a machismo and egotistical genre that you can still find times to be a fan of your contemporary or your peer?
Because if you're not a fan first, why would you even be in it? Because I listened to all these dudes on the radio. And when we came in with our songs and we came with Roadside, the response we got from all MCs was just like, you know, from here to everywhere, just because of the fact that it was a song about what everybody pretty much did as a kid in our era, as far as how we came. So it was always like me seeing it as I'm getting to meet my heroes, but becoming their peers at the same time, even getting to do songs with them. So it's not a problem for me to express myself to these artists because, you know, people, they don't know it or not. The reason why these collaborations happen are because you like the artist that you ask them to do the song with. You're not gonna do a song with somebody you don't like. So a lot of times that I've done songs with people, whether it be paid or free or just like, you know, being in the moment, you have to cherish that. And I let a cat know. And I always think about gangster. I think about Google. You know, the only thing you can do is walk up to a motherfucker, shake their hand, you know what I'm saying? Say your piece, say whatever, and you gone. Sometimes a lot of people don't let you go. They give you the conversation. And they express themselves in the same, where they let you know how they feel. So, you know, I never been one to be shy about that, you know, because that's how I got to do a lot of songs with people in that manner.
That's so cool. I love to hear people talk about being a fan, especially, you know, somebody like you that was a brick in this hip hop culture. I call it turn people are bricks to build it. You know what I mean? One question I always ask is that at the time when you guys came out and, you know, you really got all the love at that time, did you feel like, dang, we have something special here, we're living in a particular moment, or you just kind of lived it, you realized it later? How did you feel at that time? How did it feel to come into your own, into that space?
Well, because of the way me and Tame even came into the game, it wasn't awful. You know, we didn't ask, you know, when we were messing with Sadat and Tamara to put us on. You know, it was more or less like we knew them and they just, you know, we just hung around them. And they let us do that because we wasn't on them about getting put on. So for us to do the things that we did, you know, thanks to Bobito and Stretch, my man Rob Chulo, Daddy Reef, you know, T-Ray, Buck Wild, you know, my man Reggie Noble even doing a song with us on the album. You know, this record was something that we, you know, even without me knowing Tame growing up as a kid, but that record was everything built up inside of us until we got the deal. So we had so much content to talk about because me and even Tame was almost the same. You know what I'm saying? Like from different places, but once we got together, all this shit just exploded. So it was like to see when we had an album listening party for the magazines. So I'm talking about Rap Pages, Vibe Magazine, Source Magazine. They all in one room in the studio. We playing the album loud as hell. So yeah, they was liking what they was hearing, and when he got the wrong side, you know, they asked to play it like first like 2 times, then like 8 times they played it. They just kept asking to hear it again. And it was a rep from the label there. He came over to us and like whispered in my ears, I guess we know what the single's gonna be on. So like that record not being like a lyrical anthem for us, like, you know, just some rah-rah shit. It was a song about something that we at least knew everybody cared about, but at the time wasn't talking about. So Wrong Side was an honest song. You know, Lord Jamar, bless him. He asked us when we met him, and once we got the Sadat crib in the basement, he was asking us before we did a song with them. He did the original version to Wrong Side of the tracks, you know, on the demo joint. So he asked us like before we would start writing the joint, he was like, what are y'all about? Like, I need to know. Because there's one part of y'all hanging with us that we didn't ask y'all. So, you know, once he said that, like, well, we still, you know, B-boys, we do graffiti, you know, we still, you know, we take pride in doing what we're doing lyrically, you know, we have fun. It's pretty much almost to y'all, but it's not with the building. So he was like, okay, so write about that. And then Wrong Side was created. And just the way y'all hear it today, we had to flip it because we couldn't clear the sample because he had a James Brown sample. So for that song being to the record that we're gonna be known for forever is a proper song because it's really who we are. and still are who we was then and still today even more. So when you run into people in the streets, and it can be the hardest gangster dude. I mean, LA, you know, there's a lot of Mexicans out there, so it's like you see this when they come up to me and I'm like, whoa, I don't know what's gonna happen. They ganged out, tattoos everywhere. Like, bro, listen, we should pay to your song. So this is like what I hear all the time. So I take pride in that to know that at least with that one song and all the records I've ever done, I'd rather be known for that song because I know that when people meet us, they know that that's where we come from because they do too. So that's the genuine part of not being an asshole in this game. Is a lot of people I meet, and I've heard stories about it where I always tell the people that's telling me, like, you're never gonna have a story about like that for me, bro, ever. So when I leave here, they all, no, not you. I'm like, all right, trust me, because you're not. But I know and I understand how it is. So I just want people to know that, you know, we're approachable. There's nothing too special about what we're doing except doing music. I really get that across to people that it's not so much different than what they do in a regular life. I just happen to do music.
Maybe a little more special.
You know,
with being hip hop changed the world. So being part of hip hop is a little, you being part of that culture.
And that's you know, good to say, because even for today being, you know, hip hop day, you know, hip hop's birthday, you know, I grew up 11, 12 years old when I first started seeing hip hop shit in the street and hearing it on the radio. And I used to go back and forth to New York with my parents. So I've seen it go from one thing and then to be a part of it. Once we got in it, we felt like we was in the club, you know what I'm saying? And then to see these people that you grew up listening to give you props, it's like, you know, just the other day, the exhibit put up a video of him in the car driving. He playing "What's Up Now," motherfucker. I'm just bugging because like you never think about. I know him, but you still don't ever think about shit like that when they whip on a private day, and he just happened to record it, and people just like, "Oh shit!" I'm like, "Yes, me too. I feel like that too," because we all fans of each other. It's like I always say, hip hop is like all like the Marvel universe. We all have superpowers, and we all use them in certain ways. But when you see, you know, cats like him bumping that like that, that make you feel good because you actually know that, you know, they like what you're doing.
You know, you mentioned how, you know, how you might be, you know, approached by some essays or some cellos at a time where, you know, hip hop was real regional. But with that particular song and something that you made, when people think about the term keeping it real, like you all represent the culture, the elements of hip hop so much in fact that somebody on the opposite coast that still tags the bomb the same as you do, they come up to you and say, "Hey man, despite where I'm from, where you from, we used to get down to that song."
Right, and you know that's what's crazy too. Cause like in LA, everything is like some things forbidden, but it's like I always say, like, yo, look, every time we come out here, we are booked by Mexicans and more Spanish than Black people. I kid you not. You know
yes.
I always like wonder that, like, how is so much beef and like culture wise when it comes to hip hop in LA, the culture, the elements. Yeah. I'm sorry, it's like all Spanish and Mexican guys. They're booking us for these shows. I ask all these questions. I ask all these questions when I'm out there to try to figure out like what that's about. I know what it's about, but you know, it's a fact. And I let it be known. You know what I'm saying? Like I understand all the rules and all the things that happen out there, but I know I can't lie about who be booking us, especially over the last like 20 years.
Mm-hmm. Yo, you know, what's crazy though, Al, is listening to what you were just saying, you know, a few minutes ago. One talking about like the birthday of hip hop, and then you were saying how you and Tame, everything that as y'all were growing up from, you know what I'm saying, being young kids to the time that y'all signed your deal and came out with your single and everything, how y'all had all this stuff building up in y'all. One of my favorite tracks off of your album was aside from the famous, you know, the famous Wrong Side of the Tracks was Going Way Back.
Wow. Okay.
That song right there, man, like it resonated. Like I'm from Queens, New York,
Okay.
And it was just like y'all had so many great elements in there, so many different good cuts, especially towards the end, how y'all was just cutting in different MCs like, you know, quotes and just reaching back nostalgic wise to the dress codes and, you know, stepping up back then, stepping on kicks to get your ass whipped. And it was just like, you know, it was so raw. So just now, just to have this conversation when you're talking about what was built up in y'all before y'all got signed and just the whole birthday of hip hop, that brought me to that going way back. And I just had to let you know that's one of my other favorite tracks, man. Dope shit right there.
I appreciate that, because that was the hardest song to do out of all the songs on the album. T-Ray kept mixing it, he kept hearing stuff. I gotta fix this, I gotta fix that, man. I don't know what it is, but I gotta fix that. That song took the longest to get mixed because of all the different elements in far as like what you're talking about, sampling. That song pretty much is what I was speaking on, like about how we grew up and just our stories of how when we were separate to when we got together. And it just made for a bigger picture for me and Tame, because we had the beat to actually speak on it. It was slow, it was melodic, and it really took you there to a place where, like, I think that somewhat like Wrong Side, it made you envision yourself as a kid growing up. As you said, these flashes of these songs that was coming in and out and going with the dialogue that you're speaking on.
Yeah, man. That's just a classic right there, man. Classic.
Man, it's so cool because I don't know if they mentioned I grew up in El Paso, Texas. Greasy just everywhere. Colorado, Atlanta, the world. And then Samori, New York. So it's always interesting when we interview people, the different experiences, how we came about, because how we came together through hip hop, but our experiences are, you know, how it connected all of us. And I really like that. And I really was excited when you could say the Mexicans. I'm like, that's me.
Oh yeah, she definitely got real happy with that.
I see.
But the reason that makes me so excited is because growing up, you know, that was not the thing. You know, being a young girl in El Paso, Texas at the time, the cover girls were the thing.
Oh, yeah, I get it. Freestyle.
You know, that kind of stuff. That was what was popular when I was growing up. Hip hop was becoming popular, but it wasn't on the radio. So people didn't really know about it. So people didn't know what to do with me. Here's this girl listening to EPMD, Public Enemy, Poor Righteous Teachers. They're looking, what the hell? So when I hear stories now, places now that is a thing, it like trips me out, because my experience was not that. That was not embraced at the time, but to see how it has evolved with your experience, and I hear other people say these things, it really is really cool to see.
Well, me coming from Jersey, you know, it was like this for us. Like, we couldn't go to New York and, like, you know, talk about, you know, our hip hop, because we, you know, everybody that's not from New York, you from the outside. So us being from Jersey, we was from the outside, even though we could see New York like right now over the damn horizon. They thought we were so far away. We still got Video Music Box. We still saw MTV. We still all the same things, radio that they saw. So it was always like us trying to break through, like no different than any other city that's not from New York. You know, when you're doing hip hop. So like it was almost like we had to prove ourselves. You know, even when before we got our deal, we used to go to New York, do shows, Lyricist Lounge, all these early shows. We wouldn't say we was from Jersey until the end of the show, because we knew, you know what I'm saying, like, these niggas gonna boo us because we not from New York. But because of the way we were dressed, too, I think a lot of people thought we was from Brooklyn. Because I'm wearing polo gear, Tame dreads. You know, they just, you know, when we would say we was going back to Jersey, the crowd was like gasping, like, word? Jersey? Like, you know what I'm saying? And this is only because of what, and this I'll say, you know, when it comes to hip hop in New Jersey, like me and Tame, if you talk about elemental wise and out here, they know that's us, you know, as far as in the forefront, what we presented to the world with the first song we did, and throughout the album. but we didn't want people to think that we was like graffiti artists trying to be MCs. We MCs first, but we do everything. So, you know, this came across to everybody in a way where it was like, oh, you know, wow, like, you know, this is like what is happening in New Jersey, but it's been like this in New Jersey for years. So when you talk about, you know, we had a graffiti scene, you know, Tame, I knew him just from his tags and his pieces in the hood. So this is before we even got together. So then to find out he rhymed and sound like that, it was like his rhymes looked like his pieces. I mean, if I can explain this, when you look at his pieces and you look at him, it made a lot of sense. And then when I heard him rhyme, I said, damn, it's like a full package visually, because he was as colorful as his graffiti was that he put out there. And then when we got to spit and the world saw that, they're like, wow, okay. It went together, it went right. So at a time where, like, you know, we was coming, you know, we was bringing Jersey on our back and on a level of saying, like, yes, we have real hip hop in New Jersey too. That's not say so much kind of mainstream. You know what I'm saying? Because when you look at it, a lot of the artists from New Jersey, like it started with Lakim Sabaz, Apache, Lati, Chill Rob G, and then it gradually went Naughty and Lords of the Underground and, you know, Double X Posse. You know, this is where hip hop was going, but we all sound different. But Jersey artists don't sound the same. It's like we come from different parts, but for some reason, when you listen to Poor Righteous Teachers, you can't figure out what part of Jersey they're from. They're from Trenton, which is like half hour, maybe 45 minutes driving from me, maybe an hour, but it's just that Jersey is YZ, you know, oh my God, it's a whole lot more I can say, but it's just like we don't sound the same. And I don't want to ramble about it, but it's like, you know, we are always proud to break out of Jersey to get into the world, because that we always felt like that we gotta break out, because we knew we couldn't be hidden. You know, we right there, we right across the border for you.
Man, that's, you know what? Let me tell you something. That right there, what you just said, that whole piece right there, it was like the missing jigsaw piece to a puzzle I always wondered about. Because, you know, it's like, you know, growing up, like I'm 43, right? So it was like, you know, we grew up, you know, listening like, oh, you know, you turn on video music box, you see Latifah, you saw Lords of the Underground, Naughty by Nature, you know what I'm saying, everybody and shit. You know, we saw y'all, it's like, I was like, oh, Jersey got this shit, you know. But yes, New York was kind of exclusive, you know what I'm saying? You know, we had a little air about us, kind of, you know, but at the same time,
that's understood though.
Yeah, it's understood, you know what I'm saying? Red man on it, but it's like, you know, but at the same time, we did embrace Jersey, but I never really knew how the different segments of Jersey hip hop scene, whether they like coalesce or, you know, I just never really kind of knew how that went. Cause like I know how Queens is, how Brooklyn is, how Harlem, you know what I'm saying? But I always kind of want to get that picture. So thank you for that.
Yeah, and this I would say this immediate area, even where I'm at right now, is where we all vibed out. You know what I'm saying? Like Redman, where he lived at, grew up at, is like 10 minutes from me driving. Queen Latifah grew up around here, like around the corner. She went to school in Irvington, which is same out, 10, 15 minutes. I went to high school with Naughty by Nature. So we all did the same, you know, Lord's do it all right across over here. So we all grew up in the same area doing the same talent shows. Even Biz, like respect, you know, rest in peace to Biz. Biz was in Jersey a lot. You know, he was a intricate part in Jersey hip hop. Even though he was in Long Island, he lived in Jersey for a minute. And having, you know, Cool B, his cousin, lived in Elizabeth, you know, we used to go check Biz out. Biz cooked dinner for me and Tame one time. You know, we used to go to Cool B's house just for like rhyme sessions with other MCs that they knew. And they just threw us in the booth to let them see what we was like. So, you know, we all was, but this is like in the same concentrated area. When you start leaving out of like North and East Orange, you start getting out of town, out of, you know, different districts, and you go to, you know, like I said, Trenton, you got Bergen County, Patterson, you know, RIP to Tony D, You know, you had a lot of cats that was making music, but the sound of everybody is like how you go to Brooklyn. Brooklyn got an accent. You go to Queens, Queens got a different accent. You go to Harlem and the Bronx, they accent different. But Jersey is not so much about an accent, you know, because when you listen, we watch TV and you see all the housewives shows, you hear how they talk. We don't talk like that. You know, it's like heavy accent on them shows. We don't rap like that. We don't talk like that. Everybody sounds different. We all sound like ourselves, but nobody sound like each other.
Right. No.
You know, labels are prevalent in hip hop. You know, you're a gangster rapper, you're a conscious rapper, you're crunk, whatever. How did you all feel about being kind of anointed one of the pioneers of the so-called backpack rappers? And how did you all feel being labeled as backpack rappers?
Well, I won't say we were so-called labeled as that. I mean, like, if you ask me, it was the name keep changing. It went from underground to backpack, then boom bap. I'm like, okay, you know, like it's still for me underground hip hop, you know, because it was. I think people associated a look with how people were rhyming and the style of rhyming and the places that people were going to do these things and having these shows and functions. So like people label it as like, because these people showing up in these clubs with backpacks on, half of these people don't even realize where these cats are coming from. A lot of them are either coming from school, you out at night. Like most of the time I had one because it was for a style, and yeah, I had shit in my bag. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be out all day, but it wasn't because I rhymed this underground way. I'm gonna have this backpack on as a uniform, and I would say pretty much I claim underground hip hop because that's where we started from, and that's what it was named. That's what it was called. You know, some people call it golden era hip hop. You know, it is what it is. It's hip hop in general. No matter how many, hip hop is so segregated in the sense where it's like you got conscious hip hop, you got trap, you got thugged out, you got hardcore,
drill.
You got the women, and this is new. When all the women that rhyme is either you're gonna be nasty in the mouth or you're gonna be conscious and dope and have bars, and it's never in between. It's just either this or this.
Or.
And with the guys, it's all over the damn place. Gangster hip hop. Damn, why we just ain't just rhyming and spitting? You know, everybody just doing one thing and you just doing a different style of it. I get it, you know, because even when you go into some of the music selections on your phone and shit like that, they have genre. They say hip hop R&B. Like I was like, all right, so it's whatever, you know. But I claim underground hip hop. I'm glad to be part of it, you know, partly responsible for the surge of, say, all these things that happened as far as, say, Fat Beats Records, independently, Raucous. You know, people don't know, Brick City Kids was the first record that Raucous put out. Wasn't Mos Def, wasn't Quali in them. The Artifacts record with the Beat Nuts and BIC called Brick City Kids and What on the B side. And when you look at the label, the white label with just a Raucous logo. And it said Ghetto Gold, Ghetto Professional, something like that, you know. And that was and we were still signed to Atlantic. We did that record. That's why I called Brick City Kids. And Juju and them named that. You know what I'm saying? Because they like we knew. We can't put nothing Artifacts on there. So like, you know, these were things we was doing, you know, preparing for when we was probably gonna be off Atlantic. So, you know, once we jumped off, even with us separating and getting back together, the underground scene has been the car we've been driving for years. We've just been driving the different cars as far as the labels go.
You know, L, I'm gonna ask a question. I know Breezy got a ton of questions. Do you now, you know, it's 2021, everybody's podcast and stuff like that, and now you have a lot of artists that came out like in the early 90s, late 80s, talking about, you know, now hindsight being 2020, they analyze a lot of the deals that they sign and distribution deals that they sign and stuff like that. Do you feel that Artifacts, when you got your deal, now that you look back on it, do you think it was a good deal, it was fair, or do you kind of wish that you may have had a better negotiation, or do you feel it was fair? What's your take?
No, I think we was good. You
Okay.
know, what, what we focused on, we knew we wasn't going to get was a whole bunch of damn money, and we knew we wasn't going to get a whole bunch of damn publishers. So when we structured our second deal, when we structured the contract anyway, we was like, look, whatever gonna happen, we at least want to know, like, or want to be in concrete and in writing that we can step off and keep our name as far as Artifacts go. And we can go make records everywhere else and keep the logo, keep the all the merchandise, all that shit. So, they was like, okay, well, they was confused with that because a lot of times you fight for the publishing, you fight for more money. I was like, no, we fighting for his name.
The intellectual property.
When we leave, we can bounce, y'all do whatever, keep the music and shit like that. We can go do something somewhere else. If we learn from other things that we saw, like, let's at least be able to own that. We knew we wasn't gonna own no masters and shit like that, but if you're smart, you move through the industry in a certain way, you can still eat off of all of that. And later on they catch up to you, but it still is about moving in that game and getting your just due, because these people don't care. But I would say we was straight because it was like an in and out thing, and because of the reputation we made for ourselves on that label, it was like we used it for what it was for, a stepping stone to be where we at right now, where we can make decisions on our own without having to deal with contracts to be stuck on for years, where you probably won't want to do that. So we avoided a lot of that, where it's like to say, the label was cool with it, even with us getting released, through Windy Day, and we had no beef with Atlantic. It was pretty much time for us to move on because they were moving to a different level of music, just like everybody else was. So, I'm just glad that we was able to go with our name so we can still plaster this shit everywhere, on every record that we do, whatever label we working with, whatever person, whoever it is, we own that.
Dope. I'm glad to hear that. Very good.
I think you're the first one we asked that, and it was in the
Tragic
like,
or
we good.
Yeah, tragedy.
no, because some people it's a tragedy for some people, but it's good
Well,
that
right. That's what's up.
Because I was being realistic about it all anyway, because I used to always just go to the label and just go in there and look at stuff. I get to know people that was working there. I sit at the desk and I see stuff with our name on it, like, what's that? What's this? I ask questions. And I started figuring out who was doing what, who this person was, and then I started seeing who was for us and who wasn't. And I was just like, damn, you start thinking about, like, it wasn't like always like, oh my, it's my dream to like, oh, like, it's a dream, but I'm not willing to go so far as to say like I'm oblivious to what this whole shit is about. So when you start looking at certain things, you start, realizing like, damn, these people just working a job, and they working whatever the project is that they get in their hand, and they being told what to do, and you got a certain life time to be paid attention to, where it's like, okay, these people only there to get a check. If they like you, they fuck with you, they rock out, and they'll do their job right. And once I saw what that was, it was like, okay, it ain't what it was cracked up to be on seeing all that. But if I had to write a list of shit I didn't like about what we were doing and what I did like, this list, what I like, it outweighed that shit far more, because I wasn't thinking about these people that worked at that label, because they wasn't none of the people that I think that would, be working hard for us anyway, because they don't come from where we come from. So I just chalked it up as like, all right, shit, we can do somewhere else.
That brings a question. So now we live in a time where artists don't have to be artists to make money. Now you see artists with these 4 or 5, like Kendrick Lamar hasn't made an album in what, 4 or 5 years, and his name is constantly on people's tongues. He's still making money. We always use Rihanna. There's only one Rihanna, but still, she hasn't made an album in 8 years, and she's a billionaire.
Yeah.
Right? So now you live in a time where really music is just to get in the door to build on other things. How do you feel about now? There's multiple ways for artists to make money other than just waiting for that call every 2 or 3 years to make that album.
Well, the music goes how the artist wanted to go. First of all, if artists want to put out music, they're gonna put music out. If they feel like they put a lot of music out and some of that shit they stick or they sell, they'll probably chill for a minute and actually like, all right, I gotta figure something else out. But that should be always in the plan anyway, because this music part of it is the least part. It's like how Jordan had his contract back in the day. He made less money playing basketball and made more money with shoes and all the product that he was selling.
Right.
So like all the side contracts. So it's almost the same thing. Why limit yourself to just making music and going to do shows? Because now if you're going to do shows, you better have some damn merch at the table or at the venue to sell, because people, I found that out early going back and forth to Europe, because they were like, yo, you guys, sometimes I didn't have shirts, but I would have CDs. They're like, I gotta get shirts. Because you had to start thinking about how I'm gonna get this shit over there with me. I had to get smart about it. And it's like, okay, I want to have shirts, I want to have hats, I want to have this shit, that shit. So people ain't walking away like feeling like empty-handed. They just only saw the show.
Right.
You're missing out on a lot of money when you're not doing that. So I would say with all the different avenues to make money in right now, if you got it like that and you want to do everything, you'll have music, you'll have vinyl, you'll have CDs, you'll have whatever else you need and promote it at the same time. People will take you more seriously as an artist because everybody likes something, for free. You get a t-shirt, you get some stickers and shit, like, I want you to buy this CD too. You know what I'm saying? Because, just take the whole little package and shit. But it's like, you really have to give people something back for what they're paying for. So like, you look at Rihanna, like, damn, I'm making more money doing this shit right here than I am doing music. Do people really even appreciate the music so much anymore where they just, what's the next thing? What's next? What's next? So the reason why people remember Kendrick Lamar music like that, because he giving them a chance to sit with all that shit. A lot of times, most people knew that they could make 2 albums in 1 year, but DMX did it, Nelly did it, all these double albums. You can't make but so much music in a year, or even so much where you either giving it away after a while, or you just like not giving the person enough time to soak in what you just did before you even move on to the next one. So, but you have to put out records, you have to put out music. And, just because that is what makes people want to buy is other stuff. It has to be a vehicle. If you don't have to do music, like this wing woman right here, you don't do nothing. You chill for a minute. You probably want to take a vacation. I get that. But like the hardest thing to do is get people to like your music and buy it. So just have everything. And for an artist like myself, it was only doing the music and going to the tours. Whereas but you have to take it upon yourself to do all the other stuff. It's really easy. It's a lot of people need help doing a lot of stuff. But if you put your mind to it and you put your bread in a certain way to it, it'll work. You just gotta, you gotta plan it out right and just, do more.
When is the Artifacts going to drop their podcast, man? I mean, the reason I say is because, as you say, you need, aside from music, you need the merchandise and all that. I feel like COVID, it kind of put a damper on a lot of artists' shows and stuff like that. It brought a lot of artists out into the podcast realm, and what I've seen is that the audience, they love this because of the fact that now they get a more tangible engagement and interaction with their favorite artists. Because oftentimes you get the album, you may go to the show, you may get the merchandise, but we don't really get to know you. And oftentimes with the podcast, it's like, yo, we get to really get to see your thoughts on different perspectives and angles and events in life, what you think, how you approach things, or, get the truth from your perspective on situations.
Right.
So it's kind of like podcasting for hip hop artists and music artists. It's a gold mine, man. And I think that's why Spotify and all these people, they're trying to, get their hands firmly dug into. So Is that something that you guys are thinking about doing?
Me personally, no, I wouldn't do it because for me, I have to concentrate on this music part of it because I've seen that with I'll do these. I'll do an interview quick. I won't interview somebody. Me and my man Jay Sands, we kind of do like what y'all do. Just interview. It's like a sports kind of thing, but I wouldn't want to be on a podcast talking about other people. I look at all this shit like sports. I equate a lot of things to sports. So when I look at Shaq and Barkley, and how the NBA hate them talking on TV about them, I look at hip hop in that way too. When you're a participant and you start talking about other people, and you know it's nothing about music, then you just breaking the current kind of like rule where I'm like, I only have time for people to listen to my music rather than hear me talk. I think that's the only thing people care about anyway for me, rather than hearing about a lot of other things that I do. You know, a lot of people just like, yo, when the album coming out, when the show, when you like, I'd rather see you in person, my brother, than see you talk on here. You know, and I like these kind of settings because I'm letting y'all know a lot more than y'all ask me questions than me running my mouth randomly, you know, because then I'm just feel like I'm talking about myself and talking about a whole bunch of other people. You know, when I think the time that I used, like you said, when all the COVID was going on, I was like in the crib recording. And I was trying to tell everybody else to do the same because how the way this shit pan out, the people that have been recording the most and planning to put out these records, I got like 5 albums that I'm ready to put out like back to back to back, like totally just been in the work mode where I feel like, you know, the less, you know, everybody talking. You know, I go on YouTube right now and there's mad rappers I know that got podcasts. Some are beneficial, some I see is just, you know, a tool to get out a lot of stuff, you know, information wise that probably a lot of people didn't know. My information ain't that too exciting. I'm just recording and doing pop-up. Yeah, my little ring thing went out. I'm recording, I'm going on tour, I'm doing these pop-ups, and I'm just getting people to know that Artifacts album coming out soon. And, you know, I feel it's to each his own, you know, but for me, I think the music part is more important. And I think that's what people care about the most.
Is this upcoming Artifacts album, is this the first Artifacts album since your second album?
Officially, yes, like part of the full length. Yeah, we got 10 joints produced by Buck Wild DITC. Whole record produced by him, 10 joints. And we got like 2 guest appearances. And that's it. It's just us throughout the whole record. This record is already done. The artwork is done. It's just at the pressing plant right now in Germany. So COVID is strong out there. So I know they've been getting delays and stuff like that. And with it being a color vinyl, that's taking extra long. So, but it is for everybody that's gonna be hearing this or watching, it's coming. So I got a troller dude right now, just all on my ass, like this record is coming out in 2000 never. I mean, don't worry, bro, it's coming. You keep asking me that.
Right. Don't rush it.
So after the second album, did y'all split on good terms, right?
Yeah. I mean, like me and Tane only split because of the fact that, like I said, we were chasing the label to do a lot of stuff for us, where we was like, all right, we was burnt out. We were just trying to keep up with a machine that really wasn't, in with it for us so much. Like I said, you get a certain amount of time for you to do things for them to feel like they got to put more into. So once we did that, it gave us time to like concentrate on ourselves. Tane put out a bunch of records by himself, solo wise, and with other groups, and so did I. And we got back together in 2008, and we started touring instantly. We did a few records. We did a song called "Back to Work" on Marco Polo's second album, Port Authority 2, and that came out 2013, and that was like the first record we put out where people were like, "Oh shit, they back." So we started doing little other records, singing wise, "Every Day in the Street," remix with Rod Digger. We did a record with K-Duff, and gradually just getting people to know, eventually we were gonna put out a whole album.
You hear stories like that. Yuckamouth, speak of a rapper that has a podcast, Yuckamouth or the Loonies said the Loonies had to break up to get out of their contract.
Right. And that's what I mean, like, you know, shit like that. That's why I was like, look, whether we break up or not, you know, at least with that, we still keep our name contract. You know what I'm saying? Like, where we got released, so we was like, okay, y'all, we cool with y'all doing that? All right, peace, we out. Nobody owe nobody nothing. So after that, it was on us, you know. Yeah, but we took a break. You know, I took a break for like 2 years. In 1999, I put out the Frontline record, my first solo record with Organized Confusion, Mike Zoo, FT, and I never looked back until we got back together. Now, when you look at me and Tame Show now, we got Artifact records we do, Tame One records, my records, you know, and I get to dip off from that and go work with Sadat and do shows with him with the XL album. So, you know, some of these things wasn't planned, but when you look at it in the long run, a lot of things were supposed to happen in the way they did, you know, and as long as we still a group and we able to put music out today, that makes me happy.
You mentioned earlier about, you know, being from New Jersey and kind of being the outsider to New York. But one thing I know about rappers, particularly from Newark, from the Bricks, they love the Bricks like they love actual people. What is it about, right? Like, what is it about Newark? What is it about the Bricks that just makes it just like everything to everybody that's from that area?
Because when you get accepted by New York and then the world, because the world gonna accept you first, but it was like, you know, we all was on a mission to just like, oh, we gotta, you know, show the world that we nice. And to come from, we all come from the same area. You know, know that you hear them scream Illtown. That's where I'm at. That's where I grew up at. I went to school at. But I was born in Newark. You know, like a lot of people, Bethel through house. So half of my life I lived in Newark, most of my life I lived in East Orange. But I was always back and forth. But me and Tame rep Newark just like Redman. When we saw Redman doing what he was doing, first album, second, I mean, like, yo, y'all gotta understand, like, we used to all rhyme together in the basement in his house. You know, him and Do It All was a group together with Red used to DJ for Do It All at shows. I was there.
Wow.
You know, we would do concerts in the neighborhood, like at different schools where they had their Unity Day. So we used to go to Montclair State High School, and we used to go to Montclair High School, and they would have their day. This was when they would graduate. So they would have a show like rent out like a pool like not like swimming like, but we would do shows in like a gym type of thing, whatever. And they would shut everything down just for us to do that. So that was dope. You know what I'm saying? Like we all was able to, you know, Louis the Underground, same thing. You know, this is all us in the same, we in this area. We see all this happening. You know, so like when we knew what we were all doing, and it was like one by one, like I said, Naughty, Red, Lords, Artifacts, Outsiders, Rodriguez, you know, but like I said, all the people, Lakim Shabazz, I mean, he's my mentor. So this, without him, there's not a lot of beginning, you know, and he's from Newark, you know what I'm saying? So when I got to know him, you know, once I got to meet him, like this was even before I was making records, just being a fan of him, like he became one of my best friends, you know, so like, this is how proud we are of each other because we know how hard it is. We all went through the same thing, you know, so we all had the same stories. We all had the same things happen where when we break out, and like, especially Naughty, once they did Uptown Anthem, New York was like, okay, we fucking with y'all. Like, all right, let's go. I mean, for you know, for the area where we lived, man, that was like the best thing to see because like I said, growing up and starting off, you were scared to go to New York, do a lot of shit out there. You know, knowing we gotta catch that train going back to Jersey. Even though it was right there. You know, we used to go on 42nd Street. I seen a lot of shit, niggas get robbed. You get robbed, taking a picture at the little, you know, spot with your girl, change, you know what I'm talking about? So being from Jersey, you had to really move carefully. You know what I'm saying? You go to Brooklyn, you know, I can wear certain shit because I know what's going to low life dudes out there. You got to be careful.
Yeah.
So like, and that's how you learn how to go to New York and not get into a lot of shit, but actually be safe. So, you know, like with all that training, once we all started coming, it was like I said, like we all like it was like getting in the club. We were like, all right, damn, look, Jersey in the house too. Like, okay, so a lot more in party. You here with Jersey at in New York? Shit, we used to be run all over New York. Once after a certain while, you be at parties, you'd be surprised to be so many people from Jersey in the building.
Yeah.
And that's when New York started being like, yo, cause look, guys from New York just come to Jersey.
Yep.
And there's a lot of stories about a lot of rappers not leaving Jersey in the same way they came.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hey, did King's son, did he get a lot of respect out in
Yeah,
Jersey?
that's my man, right? Man. King said, and that's what I meant was trying to say with Patterson. He's another guy that's highly respected in Jersey.
Yeah. Okay.
Unfortunately, on that note, this brings us to the end of another great show. We definitely don't want the interview to end, but we are so happy that you again allowed us to interview you and definitely hear so many hip hop stories and just hear about what you got going on. Speaking of which, your new song "Break It In Loud." Now, where can
John Robinson?
Well, yeah, where can people find that song? Get that song from?
Yeah, you can go August 20th. It'll be on all digital platforms. Bring It In Loud, Jake Palumbo, Elder Sensei, featuring John Robinson. And you can go to Jake Palumbo's IG page, and on the right there in the bio, you can download the DJ Pack instrumental, dirty version, clean version is up there. And
if people want to get in contact with you, how can they find you?
You can hit me on IG. Sensei from NJ, SENSEI from NJ, New Jersey. And anything merch-wise, follow me there. I got a merch page that's on the link in the bio. But if you want anything, you want to talk to me, just hit me on my IG. I'm always live.
All right. And if you want to reach us, you can email us at the GEMIX DMV. That's TheGEMIXDMV@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter, the GEMIX, Instagram, the GEMIX DMV. As well, and you can find us each and every Saturday at 12 noon right here on scratchvision.com. And we're going to leave you with, is it Bring It In Loud?
Yeah, Bring It In Loud.
Yeah, bring that up. All right. So go ahead and edit that part somewhere a little bit. But yeah, we're going to leave you with Bring It In Loud. Elder Sensei, Jake Palumbo, featuring John Robinson. Brother, we are so appreciative that you started joining us.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me, brother.
Peace.
Great.
If you just email us that song, Samari edited in at the end of the show.
Yeah, you should have it in your email now.
Okay.
All right.
All right, man. Yeah, thank you. Can't thank you enough.
Yeah.
That'd be good. I thank y'all for having me. And it's raining outside. I'm about to go out here and roll me something up real quick.
I've been smoking on the show. So
that's why I don't like smoking on shows, so I just wait till I be done and shit. Cause like I don't want to, cause my son be watching all this stuff, and I'm like, I don't let him see none of that.
Yeah, that's good. That's responsible parenting.
Yeah.
Right.
Real talk. The show should air this Saturday at 12 noon.
Say again?
The show should air this Saturday at 12 noon.
Okay.
And if you want to,
let me know, just type in when y'all start putting the previews or whatever, and I'll repost it.
Excellent.
Right. And if you want to, we can send you this visual recording because it's going to be audio on Saturday. Okay. But we'll send you this for you to do it.
That's cool.
If you want to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Excellent.
All right,
man. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you again.
Thank you. Salute.
Oh.
Peace. Dope.
Yeah, that was dope. I enjoyed that. I'm tired.